Hello, everyone. Welcome into another edition of Just Another Year Chicago White Sox edition. My name is Tony Sapita, and today we are joined again by special guest, White Sox expert and my season ticket partner, Jason Frank. How you doing today, Jason?
Doing good, just as good as our White Sox, actually. How about you?
Yep, absolutely. Same here. The AL Central Division champions, Chicago White Sox, which we will touch on in a moment. But first, we have to talk about the bench clearing brawl today against the Tigers. Got a few words for Detroit on that one. And we're just going to kind of wrap up the regular season, give out a couple awards, talk about maybe our favorite moments, and a couple other topics along the way. So before we do that, we're going to thank our sponsor, Stupid Card Tray. I have a tray. It works. And if you want to enjoy Sox games at home or on the road even more, head out to www.stupidcardtray.com. Use code J16, JAY16 at checkout to get 16% off. The link is in the description below. All right, Jason, let's talk some White Sox. So, as I mentioned before, first thing we have to talk about, emergency topic. We had to throw it in here when we were kind of making the script. It can be summed up in two simple words. Those words are Detroit sucks. One of my favorite chants of all time, the most deserving chant of all time for reasons like this. So that disgusting, embarrassing, sorry excuse for a team that is the Detroit Tigers. They started acting up today. They're the little brother, they're acting out because they're not getting the attention. They're tired of losing every year, being the bottom of, across all sports, honestly, being the bottom of bottom of the division, bottom of the league. So I'll kind of set the scene. Some of you may have seen this already. If you have, awesome. If you haven't, I'll let you know what happened. So in the top of the ninth, that scumbag bum, Alex Lange, who cares how that name is pronounced because he sucks. Ironically drafted by the Chicago Cubs in 2017. Hit Jose Abreu in the arm, kind of in the elbow ish. It was kind of low. It wasn't, above the shoulder or anything. But Jose Abreu didn't appreciate it. Neither did I. Neither did Jason. Neither did the White Sox. Neither did the White Sox fan base because it's not the first time he's been hit. It's not the second time he's been hit. Not the third. I can keep going. He's been hit a bunch because everyone tries to pitch him up and in and just, it just slips a little. The ball slips. Yeah, okay, guys. We've heard it before. So Jose Abreu is on first base. He ends up stealing second, and he slides hard. And I mean hard. I don't think he started his slide until he was already standing on second base. He was going into Goodrum, and I loved every second of it. Out of context, you could say, oh, it's a dirty slide, cleats up, yada, yada, yada. However, knowing the context, you got to send a message. Something's got to be, you hit me, I'm coming to hit you. However, that is gotten across. Bench is cleared, bullpen's cleared, tons of pushing and shoving. Jose Abreu being held back by Gavin Sheets and the umpire, probably saving him from a suspension. So, before I give my thoughts, Jason, how about you give us yours?
I mean, Tony, I'm fed up with it. They can't keep hitting our MVP and getting away with it. And of all teams, Detroit, they shouldn't even be mentioned in the same sentence as us, let alone playing us in a big game like this. I love, though, the slide by Jose. He sent a message to teams around the league to say that they can't keep getting away with it. And if a team tries to pull this type of BS in the postseason, I mean, it's not going to fly. Stuff like this is going to happen. I also love how Jose had to be held back a little bit, like we saw, because, I mean, he's sick of it too. I love the fire. It got me absolutely pumped up, and I was screaming at the TV. I mean, Sox fans and Jose alike, this just can't keep happening.
Yeah, I completely agree. That bum Lange again, I don't care what his name is. He probably won't even be on the team. Detroit's front office is even halfway competent. He just stinks in general. I looked at his stats. It's not even that biased for what happened today. He's just not objectively a bad pitcher. But the one positive I did see, and we've mentioned it a couple times now, is that fire. Not just today, which obviously it's good to see in a game, really. That doesn't mean anything at the end of the year, but it's kind of that fire right before the postseason. This team still is fight. They've been coasting. They basically had it wrapped up since July. They've been coasting. However, not only were they, kind of fired up today, we get the Reds for 2 games, and then Detroit comes to our city, baby. Comes to the best city in the world. Jason and I will be there Friday night when Detroit sucks when they come back, and we'll let them hear it. And that should, we'll send them right off into the playoffs. Jason, I'll be there for every game, not a big deal. And that should give us a little spark that that we need just to kind of get back in playoff shape. Obviously, we won't need it once the postseason starts, but it'll be nice to see, how that kind of helps us out. Maybe even into game one with kind of a little break coming up for the wild card games. So enough about that trash scumbag city. Let's talk about, again, the greatest city in the world, on the greatest side of the greatest city in the world, the South Side. We're going to go through a couple regular season awards, kind of wrap up the year, talk about our favorite stuff. Let us know if we missed anything in the comments, please, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you want. A lot of stuff happened. We missed a lot of stuff. Some people we didn't talk about. Some people, just because everyone knows, like Eloy and Luis Robert, we don't really mention them as much. Everyone knows what they did. They were awesome, but there's kind of some more specific things we wanted to kind of remind people of. So I'll start. Chicago White Sox MVP of the 2021 season, excluding pitchers. This is just, batters, fielders. It's got to be Jose Abreu for the way he led this team through, from the start of the year. And I mentioned it later in my honorable mentions, but that started with like that Royal Series all the way back in April when he had that slide around the catcher, a meaningless game, slapping home plate, but it was to win. And it was just, again, that game meant nothing at the time, really. However, it means a lot at the end here when we're kind of jockeying for playoff position. Obviously, great fielder, just a dad to all the players. He has to be the MVP. So the White Sox Cy Young, I would say, for 2021, I had to give it to Lance Lynn. At least for starting pitchers. You can make arguments for other players, which I think we'll get to. Carlos Rodon had it for a while. However, he got hurt. He kind of dropped off. It's nothing against him. Lance Lynn is just awesome. He absolutely shoved. He's a Bulldog. He's a Southsider for life. And I love to see that. So I had to give it to him. The White Sox breakout pitcher of the year. I gave it to Carlos Rodon. Obviously, I mean, if you don't know his story already, we've talked about it in the past as well, but just, coming back from basically his career being very close to over, to having a Cy Young caliber season for probably 2/3 of the year. And then, my White Sox breakout hitter, Andrew Vaughn, have to give it to the boy. Was very close to AL Rookie of the Year, really fell off kind of at the end, went into a bit of a slump, but he's been outstanding in the field. For a first baseman, he's playing everything but first base. He really kept this team afloat, and it feels like he's been here for years. He hasn't even played a full season yet. So that's kind of the normal ones. And then here's my I'd like to think a fun one. So this one includes an apology. The guy I hated at the start, but owe an apology to, Leori Garcia. Hate is a strong word. However, he was a guy that I thought didn't belong on this team. I thought we had, better options. Again, he's a good role player. And I called him the automatic out for a while, and I regret it, and I take it back because that man has been absolutely on fire. He's carried this team, a lot of, at least in the infield, through a lot of injuries. So my apologies. I know you're listening, Larry Garcia. My last award will be the comeback player of the year. Mine is Michael Kopech. I mean, now at this point, it's almost weird thinking of, what did he come back from? It's like he was out for 2 years basically with the Tommy John, and I know he had some personal family issues to deal with as well. So he kind of took off last year, the weird COVID year. But the dude he just absolutely shoves. And he's still young. It's technically only his first full year pitching because he got hurt in his first. Oh, love that man. We could do a whole podcast on him. But instead of me continuing to ramble, let's go over to Jason for his awards.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Tony. So start out with the MVP. We got TA. I mean, the dude's a stud in every facet of the word. I'm pretty sure he's hitting over 300 still. At one point in the year, I mean, we were 500 without him, 1,000 games above with him. I mean, he's the leader. He knows it. He carries himself that way, and he just steps up when we need him to. Cy Young Award, I'm going to go a little different route. I mean, Lance Lynn, absolute stud, but I'm going to pick a closer, the Aussie, Liam Hendricks, who actually is aware of our podcast and shot us a like or two. But the dude's a stud, and honestly, last year when we didn't re-sign Colome at first, a lot of Sox fans were a little surprised. I mean, he was a great pitcher all around for us, but we got maybe the only guy at the time that we thought could make us better. And Liam Hendricks has been above and beyond what we had expected, and couldn't say anything bad about the guy. And then this award, the Brad Pitt Memorial Billy Bean, he gets on base award. I don't know, Tony. Who do you think this could go to? Yas.
Yup.
Our boy Yasmani Grandal. The dude gets on base. We've said it before. I don't know if there's anything else that really needs to be said here. The man's come back from his injury, either gotten on base or rounded the bases. The dude's a stud. And then my comeback player of the year to be award. This is a little, I'm guessing a little bit, but personally, I'm a big Adam Engel fan. I think really highly of him. If we can get him in the game, I don't know what TLR is going to want to do with that, excuse me, that outfield spot. But I think if we can get him into the game, get his bat, get him into a little groove, I really think he can be a difference maker come October, but that's in a week or two. So, and then final award, the home run of the year award. I mean, there's only one home run that I think could get this one, and that's the Tim Anderson Field of Dreams game walk-off dinger against the Yankees. Maybe the greatest play I've ever seen, not including the whole World Series run. I mean, I cried. I don't know about you, Tony. I cried. It was a home run of the year for the White Sox. Could be the home run of the decade. I mean, it was the best home run of all time. I could go on forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll kind of continue to talk about that, but also transition to our next thing, which is memorable moments of the year. And I think that one's up there, top maybe 10, 12. But yeah, so my number one is the Field of Dreams game in general, specifically the Tim Anderson home run, because that truly, it was a walk-off home run. It was awesome. Obviously, that part's amazing with the setting and everything. However, we're winning the whole game. It's to the point where, like, in the seventh inning, it's like, okay, like, it's a cool game, but it's almost kind of boring. We're kind of dominating them, and all of a sudden, our hearts get ripped out. It's like Indiana Jones reaching into our chest, ripping out our heart, holding it up in the air. And I mean, I quit. I turned to my dad. I was like, I can't believe they lost this game. He's like, oh no, it's not over. I was like, it's over. I told him to his face, it's over. And Tim Anderson comes up and just hits the most spectacular home run. Shout out the Field of Dreams game organizers, whoever took part in that, because the fireworks and just everything with that was just done perfectly. It was truly memorable. I don't even think we're going to get another Field of Dreams game that amazing. So my second memorable moment was that Cubs White Sox, the first game of that series that was down on the south side at the G spot, coming back from down 6 after the first inning. I believe the comeback officially started in the third inning, but that was incredible. Was 17-13, I think was the final score. That was just a crazy baseball game. 30 runs. That was nuts. And then the last moment, I'm wearing the shirt, Carlos Rodon. It may be a little more special to me than some of you guys because I was there again. Not a big deal. I was one of 4,532 people there on a cold Wednesday night in April. It was 40 degrees at first pitch, at 7:00. So that was amazing. I brought my dad. It's finally, I can take him to all these things because I have money now that I have a real job. And that was something him and his father and, his grandfather before him were always chasing a perfect game, the no-hitter. They got close. I was happy to finally give it to him. So that one is definitely, special to me for that reason. And it was just awesome. It was no-hitter. Like, that's still already awesome. So, Jason, what were your memorable moments of the season?
Yeah, so number one, at the start of the season, the Yerminator. How can we forget? He has a special place in all of our hearts. I know Tony La Russa said we might see him again. I don't know if we will or not, but either way, one of the best moments this season was seeing the Yerminator. He hit his 481-foot home run, which was the longest until August, so the majority of the season. The dude started 8 for 8. He had a walk-off single against the Tigers. And he was hitting above 300 before that whole swinging on 3-0 incident, which, by the way, I totally still blame Tony La Russa for his downfall after that. But when he was up here before that, he was the GOAT. And then another memorable moment was us clinching in Cleveland. I mean, it was a beautiful game, beautiful night. I mean, what more could you ask for? Beating Cleveland, clinching the division. It was great. And then also, love to mention Liam Hendricks in the All-Star game. Per usual, he was a stud, gave up no runs. I think he had a strikeout. I mean, he was facing the best, so he did a great job all around in that game. Good to see him represent the White Sox well.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all, it was just such a like big season. There was just so many things that happened. It's hard to narrow it down to just a couple things. And as I'm writing, I'm thinking this. It's like, we only have so much time. But a couple honorable mentions: the Billy Hamilton catch against the Twins, where he ended the game diving into the mud. It probably should have been in my top three. I'll be honest. It's unfortunate that was kind of meaningless because the Twins stink and they were already winning by like a decent amount. But that was, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I truly think it was catch of the year. No bias at all. Like, that was one of the best catches of all time.
Absolutely.
Shout out Brian Goodwin. He stepped up, just a random like free agent that we signed. I never heard of him. I know he'd been around a little bit, but he really helped us get through some hard injury times. I said Eloy, Lubob, of course, they're great. Everyone kind of knows what's happening with them. They kind of came on the scene, obviously, at the end because of injuries, but we kind of wanted to focus on some of the earlier stuff. And that Royals series at the start of the year, said that already. But that Jose, in general, that was just a really good game. That showed a lot of heart. That was in April. So this team has been battling since April. And just to bring it full circle, Jose today, still fighting the whole Tigers team by himself. And my final bonus award, this isn't just a White Sox award. It's an American League. Honestly, you could argue Major League Baseball in general award, but that's not how they do it. The American League Manager of the Year, in my personal opinion, and I'm correct, is Tony La Russa. I mean, there's no other argument you can make. Everyone's like, you hired maybe a guy that wasn't the best for this team. We won't go into exactly what, but but at the same time, he obviously, he had a lot of talent to work with, but then all that talent was gone. They were all injured. He has just these random, minor leaguers coming up, and maybe I could have managed this team to success because everyone happened to do well. But I'd like to think this, he juggled the lineup so well. He steadied the ship. He got everything going. Of course, there was a couple hiccups, whether it's with Yermin and that whole pesky extra innings rule against the Reds at the start of the year. But other than that, I mean, what can you say? This guy, he truly did an amazing job. So, Jason, before I end it, do you have any other final thoughts? Anything you want to say about the season?
No, I think you covered most of it. Just looking forward to the playoffs. I think we're going to have a great deep run, and hopefully we get to be at almost every game, if not every single one. So
I completely agree. The March to October continues. We're a week away. The playoff preview will be next week since the ALDS doesn't start until, I believe it's October 7th. It'll be after the wild card games. Oh, other thing. I am praying for a 5-way tie for the wild card. I don't know if you saw that, Jason, but there is a scenario, a likely scenario that it's 3, which would involve multiple playoff games to get to the wild card playoff. And then it can kind of be a 4-way tie, but the 5-way tie would be absolutely insane. There'd be like 5 games to get into the wild card. That's what I'm hoping for. That'd be awesome. But we'll talk about that if it happens. If it doesn't, well, that stinks. So with that, that'll do for another episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Tony Sapita. Thank you again to White Sox expert Jason Frank for joining me again today. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time, Southsiders. See ya.